figuring out what that person needs and what that person wants, what their goals are, targeting directly what your goals are. Figuring out how to get from where you are now to where you want to go, that's the hard part.
Meet Dr. Chalmers. He uses psychology or the study of how the body actually works to heal and improve health. He has created a check for your body fat and heart rate. And this actually happens in person, can also be done remote, but in person is what he really does.
My purpose is not to make money doing this. My purpose is to help people. We're always working on your brand. Your brand is you. You are the example to your kids, to the people around you, everybody.
He currently has 20 paying customers, and with that, he makes 7 figures.
I like people who are 100% dedicated to their passion. Get a mentor. That's probably the one thing I would tell myself is get a mentor. You just walk this path at least a little bit and learn from them.
Welcome Dr. Chalmers to the show. Dr. Chalmers uses psychology or the study of how the body actually works to heal and improve health. Restoring health is not only possible, it's natural as long as you work with the original design of how the body works. Oftentimes called biohacking, finding the best and safest way to achieve change in the body is what psychological wellness is all about. Dr. Chalmers, welcome to the show.
Hey, how are you guys?
I'm good, thanks. Let's kick this off with what's your mission on the planet?
So my purpose is to help change the way the world views healthcare and how we treat the body. There's a lot of things people think they're right they're totally wrong. Cholesterol is not bad for you. The cholesterol in your body, calories are made up. There's a lot of things people think are factual that are not. So using physiology, we can kind of go back through and explain how the body really works. And so that's my goal, is to let everybody understand how the body works so they can be healthier on their own.
What inflection point made you start your business?
So I knew from a very early age that I was not going to be able to work for somebody else. I wanted to hold the reins. If my life went great, I wanted it to be because of what I did. If it was terrible, it was because of what I wanted it to be. I have a lot of people that are mentors to me, that I value their opinions, and I trust them, and I rely on them heavily. But yeah, I knew I'd have to hold their own reins. I couldn't be second fiddle for too long. That's not who I am.
Okay. One double click on that before we move on. So in your previous life, like before you decided to be by yourself, what did you do before?
Just school, football, that sort of thing. I knew my parents are entrepreneurs. My uncle's an entrepreneur. I knew that I was never going to be W-2. I was always going to be 1099. There's so many reasons why there's not a chance I was going to work for somebody else or work for somebody. So that was kind of why I started this, is because I wanted to blaze my own trail and do my own thing.
Good transition to talk about today. So if I were a typical client of yours, what's the core offer that I would buy from you today?
If you're getting stuff from me, we're gonna be going over what your health is, like making sure that you're not only quote unquote healthy on paper, but you're meeting the goals you want. Do you have the body fat you want? Do you have has anybody looked at your heart really? So we're gonna go through and do the tests that nobody else does. We we fix the things somebody else does. So like if you have diabetes, I'm gonna end up fixing your diabetes. It takes 3 days to fix diabetes. So we'll fix that before we go on. If you have other issues, you're worried about heart attacks and strokes and things like that, there's tests that we can tell if you're going to have one. Calcium CT echocardiograms are really good at telling about plaquing in the arteries and if your heart's actually losing blood or beating properly. But nobody does them because they don't directly equate to a drug to tell you. So if you're looking at health and wellness, that's what we're actually going to be selling and working on, is health and wellness.
Okay, let me try to understand that better. So is it an on-demand course? Is it a group? Is it like a one-on-one review? Do I go to my local, let's say, clinic and then get the tests done and then send the stuff over? And how does it work?
So you can do both. Like what we'll do is if you're in town or you fly in to work with us, we'll get all the testing done here. If you are in New York or Kansas or wherever, we can help get the testing done there. And then once all the information comes in, then we can go through, even on the telephone, we can go through and work on all the stuff and explain where everything is and what we need to do to move forward. And then we can ship you wherever you need.
If I were to interview your clients, what specific value in your offering do they rave most about?
Well, first of all, we actually go through and explain why the things we're doing work. So they now have, my big thing is to teach. And so we'll fix you, but you're going to know why. Like you'll understand why eating this has this result and why taking these supplements has this result and why taking these drugs do these things so that you can start to make your own decisions. Because my goal is, I always tell people, when we start, I always tell people, we have to figure out where you are and where you want to go. When we do all the testing, we figure out where you are, then we figure out where you want to go, and we can start a path to it. What's fun is when you get on people on a health journey, is that they're like, okay, I'm going to do these things, and they get a good return on investment. They start feeling better, more energy, losing fat, whatever. And they go, all right, well, I know I told you I didn't want to get on stage, or I know I told you I didn't want really big arms, but if I was gonna go that way, walk me through how that looks. And so you get to help watch them get better. And the reason that people don't ask me for diet plans after the first month is I've taught you how to eat. So you don't have to ask me every day, oh, I have to send me a new diet plan because I don't know what I'm doing. I've taught you how to do it. So I'm actually teaching you health. That's our big thing that, as we're going through, you're going to figure out how to make yourself better. And that's really what the course is. So that's what you get working with me. And then once we get done, we still ship you all the stuff you need. If you want to buy supplements, if you want to buy hormones, if you want to, come do other stuff. But the initial stuff is with me.
What are your price points from, where does it start on the low end? Where does it end on the high end?
So it kind of depends. When we start for like the executive physical is 5,000. And so we do all the testing, all the stuff, and we go through everything with everybody for that. And then depending on what your goals are, like I have a lot of patients who will buy hyperbaric chambers, which are $10,000. We've got people who will, really do a lot of peptides and, different things depending on their goals. And so it can get to a point where people are spending a couple $1,000s a month with big purchases of $10,000 here and there. But those are people who are just really interested in taking everything to the next level. I tell people, I'm here to give you options. It's your job to figure out how to best service those.
Okay, so the 5K, 10K is one time, and then there is, let's say, an ongoing thing, which could be a couple of K per month. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, very clear. What tools do you use to deliver the value to your clients?
So we have a pretty solid CRM. I have a fantastic staff, but a lot of the times what we're doing is it's typically just an email thing that we're going back and forth. The way that we do it is, I think the biggest way that I've helped people out is I actually sit down and I listen to them like, okay, where do you want to go? Like figuring out if you're healthy or not, that's easy. Figuring out how to get from where you are now to where you want to go, that's the hard part. And so sitting down and kind of figuring out what that person needs and what that person wants, what their goals are, that's really the biggest thing that we deliver, is because I'm not going to give you something that is going to be way more than you wanted or not enough to hit your goals. So it's a little bit more custom, targeting directly what your goals are.
Take me on a timeline. When did you launch the business as is today with that offer stack?
We've been doing that for since about Christmas. So we've been doing about 4 or 5 months.
Okay. Good segue to talk about success. So how many paying customers do you have today in a typical month, which likely there's no typical month because everything is brand new?
Yeah, we're averaging between 15 and 25 a month, because as we do it, and we haven't been advertising it because we've been trying to get the system set up, but we'll work with somebody and then they'll go talk to their friends and their friends will go, well, I'm not getting those tests done. And then they'll come in. And then I'll get wives and stuff like that. So it sells itself pretty easily. If you care about health and wellness, and you start looking at what we're doing, people get mad that their doctor hasn't done this. So, that's been pretty easy for us. We're just trying to navigate, go through it, and make sure that we're providing all the value that we can to everybody. So when you scale too quickly, we fall apart. So that's why we're holding it about that 2025 mark.
If you think the creator economy is really interesting, then I got something for you. On milliondollarcreators.club, we actually created a database of all the creators out there, and you see not just their fans, followers, subscribers, but actually how much money are they making. So with that, we bring now transparency into the creator economy, and you really see how are the best of the best get their customers, price their offers, create their offer stack, get customers, which tools are they using, how will they grow and triple their business going forward. So if that's interesting for you, including
lists of who makes the most revenue, who has the fastest revenue growth, who has the biggest audience, who has the fastest growing audience, who makes the most revenue per follower, and who has the most exciting offer stack from low end all the way to the high end. Then go to $1 Million Creator Stuff Club and enjoy the data.
Yep. I always love to do like the numbers in my head, right? Let's say 20 customers, and you said it's 5 to 10K for the initial test, and then it's a few K a month. So is that then true? Let's take 7K on average. 7K times 20 would be 140, maybe just a little bit less, 120, and then you have a few K coming into recurring. 120, 130K a month. Is that correct?
Well, we have a lot of other things that are coming into it as well. We do a lot of supplementation stuff in the office. So from that though, it's about 135 to 140. Just from the physical, it's about 140.
Just from the physical, and like, what is it all in? Like, including supplements and everything? You're lucky then.
No, so that's just from the sale of the physical. It's about that. And then whatever they need supplementation wise, because some people will need a lot of supplements because they have, again, different functional goals. Some people will need $2,000 the first month. Some people will need, $500 the first month. Like I said, just kind of depends on where they're at. If they want to do peptides, those are not with us. But we monitor all that.
Yeah, wow. I mean, huge. 135. That's 1.6 million a year right now. Really good. And a year ago, there was zero. Like it started from now. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, so we've been doing this. I just finally put it all together. Because what happened was that people would come in, and I'd be like, have you had a sleep study? And they're like, no. And we do a sleep study. We're like, you're super screwed up. And then have you had a calcium CT? They're like, no, my doctor just wants me on the statin drugs. And so we did the calcium CT. Like, you don't need to take statin drugs. Your calcium CT is 0. And we did that so much that I finally was just like, you know what? I'm going to put all the tests that people need to do in one box. Because we've been doing this for years. So I'm like, they're all going to go in one box so we can figure out where you are today. And then I'll sit down and figure out where we need to go. And since we've been doing that, people have been loving it because they're finally, like I said, getting all the tests they need. And so we just streamlined it about 5 months ago. And we're trying to take it down another notch where we can make it a little easier. Because like a lot of the nutrition stuff we talk about, I can make a web video on, and we're looking at doing that. But we're also doing a lot of like how to make the food, that type of stuff on the website, on the Pillars Wellness website. So people can actually start going and watching it. And that's a brand new thing we're adding in. And so as we do this, I want to make it so it's easier and easier and easier so we can serve more and more people.
Nice. To understand growth better, so let's say 12 months back, 2 years back, 3 years back, how's the business ramped up to today, like 130, 140K, right, a month?
Yeah, so we've always, with the chiropractic and the supplementation, we've always been doing, I think we were like 80 to 90, and so we've increased it to about 30 to 40. But it's a complete different direction for where we're going. And so that's been the big thing is you see is the path we're taking, because you can only see so many human beings in your office a day. But if we set it up where it's like, look, we can now teach, I can get this thing together, and then I can handle some people. I can teach my NP to do it. I can teach, the other guys I work with to do some of the stuff, so we can start titrating this thing down, and then we can start cycling it through. We're going to have a lot more people, and it's going to be a lot more streamlined, and so we can increase volume and pricing.
Clear. Let's talk about the cost side of the business. If I were to have that secret chat with your accountant, first of all, like, how big is the team, and what are the biggest items on the cost side that drive cost?
The people are a big one, and the product is not cheap. This isn't like, so we don't have, like, a lot of people will have 60% margins on stuff. We've got like 35 on some of the stuff, so it's not, the margins are not fantastic, and you have to keep a large storage. You have to keep a lot of supply on hand. And then, I've got doctors, I've got, my nurse practitioner, my other doc. So the people costs are not small. And then we're in Frisco, and so everything here is expensive. The property taxes and all the stuff is expensive. But, it's, probably the people costs are the biggest one.
How big is the team then? Is it like 10 people?
Roughly, so it's Rachel, it's Amanda, Ann, Bethany, my father, myself, and Liz. So it's about 7 people. But I have a bunch of tangential vendors as well on the social team.
Before we continue, there's one favor I would like to ask. If you enjoy what we do here and you enjoy the guests that we bring, please join Million Dollar Creators by hitting the subscribe button. And if you do, I'll make you a deal. I do everything in my power to make this show bigger and better for you. Do we have a deal? Enjoy the show.
Let's talk about lead generation, customer acquisition. So really interesting. How do you get awareness eyeballs about your offerings?
So we have a pretty big patient base, and we'll run through them and do emails and stuff like that. But what's been funny was I started a charity to fix. I figured out how to fix PTSD and addiction and depression using psychedelics, and I was like, oh man, we got to start doing this for veterans and first responders. So I started a charity, but then I was like, how am I going to talk about my charity? And so I decided, well, I was going to ask a bunch of my friends, and they all have to be pro bodybuilders. And I was like, well, that's what I'll do. I'll just go pro, because I can then showcase, how you build muscle and lose fat and change your body in a healthy way. And as I do it, I can talk about the charity and psychedelics. And I'll tell you, that has probably been the biggest thing, social media wise. People are calling us and being like, hey, I've been watching your transformation. I want to do some of this too. And I've been talking about it every morning. So there's a lot of social stuff going on. That's probably been the biggest hit, was just the concept. Like, I get up in the morning, I do 10, 15 minutes discussion on whatever topic it is. And then I've got a ton of social media out. And so people are starting to call us up and be like, look, you obviously know how the body works. We want to work with you on this. We've already learned a bunch of stuff, and I want to have you walk me through this whole thing. So the social's been really, really good.
Right. What's the funnel then from awareness to purchase? So they send you a message, and you wake up 10 messages in your inbox, you reply with them, and then you jump on the sales call and tell them like what the offers are, or how does it work?
So what used to happen was people would call up, they do a nutritional consult, we talk for 20 minutes, and they go, all right, I want to move forward. So they buy it, and then we set the next time we actually have the first official meeting. Now people are calling up being like, hey, I know I want the executive physical. And Rachel's like, you want to talk to me about it? I was like, nope, I just want to buy it and get started. And so that's we've seen a lot more of that, because we will work with a person and they'll go tell somebody else, and they're like, that's what I want, or we'll talk about it online. And people will be like, those are the tests I needed to have done for my heart. My mom had those. That's how she found this. And so they'll be like, we want to get started right away, because, whatever. So we've been having probably about 20% of the people who are calling now aren't calling to discuss it, they're calling to buy.
So what's the secret then to get people to call to buy? To get that? Like, let's say a new business owner, right? They're like, oh, I would like to people just like dial in. They're like, phone is ringing, like, I want to buy your thing. Like, not even a conversation. How do people get there?
The easiest way to do this is you have somebody that they trust sell for you. So for instance, if I fix your mom, or I fix your brother, or I fix your best friend, they're going to tell you all about it. And so and then once the patients come back in, and it's funny because like they'll give you hugs and they will cry. They'll be like, I've been dealing with this for 20 years and it's finally gone. Thank you so much. And you're like, great. Have you told anybody? And they're like, no. Like, don't you think other people want to feel good like you do? And they'd be like, yeah. Like, do you have any friends you might? Yeah, you should go tell everybody, because they're not going to know how to get better unless you tell them. And so people will go out and they're still talking about it. And so encouraging that word of mouth, encouraging them to, hey, when you see your friend have this issue, tell them about your story where you did this. And they're like, oh, okay. And then you start, I will get calls. Like, I have a buddy, Ted, was in, and he told me about all these issues, and he gave him testosterone, and he felt a ton better. I'm like, yeah. Like, I want to get checked for that. Great. And so we'll just send them out to get labs. They don't even need to talk to me. They'll just get the labs, and then when we sit down, it'll be, here's where you're at, here's what I bet you feel like. They're like, that's exactly how I feel. I'm like, the solution is X, Y, Z. They're like, great. So as far as people, if you get somebody, a family member, a friend, somebody you can tout about how great of a job you did, the service, the quality, whatever it is, make sure you ask those people to Google reviews, tell their friends, that type of stuff. Because people, there's an old saying, people go where people go because people go where people go. So the more popular you are, the more people trust you. But if their friends tell them, they're going to buy.
I totally agree. I mean, there was a subtle thing that you shared, which I think is important, because you're not like, say, hey, tell people like who could in your network, would benefit from my services or whatever. But the psychology that you used was, hey, your people in your network, your friends, they feel really bad. They have a condition. Don't you want to help them? Or kind of like this, so it's not about like promoting you necessarily because you want to be promoted, but don't you want to help your friends?
Well,
Like it worked for you, it worked for them, right? Like, so this is a difference, like from the psychology point of view.
that's the other thing. I think that, one of the things that like I try to do is my purpose is not to make money doing this. My purpose is to help people. And
Perfect.
so if I tell you, hey, like I've got social media out that's talking about how if you think your cholesterol is okay, you might be dying. Go get a calcium CT and echocardiogram. It doesn't say come to buy it from me. It says Google that, go get it, and figure out if you're going to die. Because like the way I've decided to do this is that if I teach you about the body, and you never come see me, but you go get a calcium CT and it saves your life, that's
Perfect.
good for me. At the end of the day, I find out I saved 1,000 lives and I didn't make any money off of it. I don't care about the money.
Yeah. Real quick before we move on, like what's been the secret to grow your audience? You just increased from 27,500 to just over 40K.
And just the same thing. As we start going through and people start finding out about what we're doing, and we start talking about it, and they start, there's a lot of veterans groups that are coming on and being like, oh, hey, if you're willing to help, because when you start telling people there's a chance, doesn't happen every time, but in 3 to 6 weeks you can completely remove their PTSD. That's what the research is showing. That's what we're seeing in these people. They want to come, they want to talk, and so as they start talking, I'm trying to get all the veterans to be like, look, you're all are badasses. If you would tell the other guys how you're badass, but your mind's all messed up, they'll go get help. So again, don't let your friends kill themselves because you didn't tell them. And so a lot of guys that's one of the things you're getting out there. And again, it's not come see me for ketamine. It's Google it, get your mind right, and get fixed. Because the whole if you give, you get. So if I just give the information, sooner or later it'll come back to me.
Yeah, I agree. Let's talk about the future real quick. So can you triple the business in the next 12 months? And if so, how would you do it? Like what strategy or tactic will get you to that massive growth?
Just awareness. We're doing a bunch of podcast stuff. We're doing a bunch of growth stuff. We're doing a bunch of informative stuff. So my guess is that as people start hearing about what we're doing, they're going to start coming in and getting some of the protocols and doing some of the stuff. And at the end of the day, it's funny because it's like, hey, all of the supplements that are on pillarsofwellness.com, all of that money, not some of it, all of it goes to the charity to help veterans and first responders with their PTSD. And so people are like, you know what? I was buying some stuff from Walmart or Costco. I'll go ahead and get this stuff from you because it goes to something else. And they finally get high quality product. And so then now their D3 goes where it's supposed to. Now their B vitamins are methylated. So they finally start working. And so they're like, oh, this stuff works great. It's what I take. It's what my kids take. So, they start doing that, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Oh, I'm feeling better." So they, we've been seeing kind of growing. They'll buy 1 or 2 things, and they'll send friends in. They'll get 1 or 2 things, and so as that starts to grow out, that's been really, really good.
What's the biggest thing holding you back personally on that massive growth trajectory?
I really think it's just awareness, and then we've got some systems issues that we've been having problems with that we're 99% fixed with. So now we have automated a lot of our system. And that's going to help tremendously because now we can service 10,000 people just like we service 10. Because a lot of the stuff that we're having issues with is now automated, and so it's solved a bunch of our problems.
Clear. Next section is called Favorite 5. It's a fast-paced section. You can answer in 1 word. What's your favorite book or business book?
Probably. So a buddy of mine wrote one called The Example, and the reason I like it is because it reminds me that you are always working on your brand, and your brand is you. You are the example to your kids, to the people around you, everybody.
What's your favorite way to get inspiration or to learn and grow?
I get real introspective with psychedelics, and so that's probably the best way. I figure out what's going on with me and how I can fix my problems. As I fix me, the world seems to get better.
What's your favorite person that you're studying your role model?
I like Nietzsche, Eric, Jordan Peterson. There's several guys. I was a big fan of Brecca until he started coming out and lying to everybody about this new amino acid thing he's got. So, but those type of guys, I like people who are 100% dedicated to their passion, and like that's who they are, whether they're roofers or whether they're plumbers or whether they're doctors. I like guys who are 100% passionate about what they do. Those are the guys I hang out with.
What's your favorite event or conference that you have attended or would love to attend?
The one that sticks out the most is I went with my buddy Ryan Stuman, the parkour closer. I went like 4 years ago. I went to Cabo with him, and we just did a mastermind. It was like 20 guys there, flew down a private jet, the whole deal. And that was the most eye-opening thing, because I finally started realizing, what the mentors were about, how they worked, and, how important they were, and, how coaching and teaching people, like whether it's health or whether it's business or whether it's relationships, how critical that role is. And so how critical it was for me to start actually working on myself. And so that one easily is the one that, like, it was the most jarring. It was the first one. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm missing a giant piece of my life I need to be focusing on. And so that was probably the biggest one.
What's your favorite online tool for building your company?
Social media is going to be the easiest thing. Instagram's been helping us the most, but I'm always worried because I've been kicked out. I'm almost being kicked out of YouTube, because if you disagree with the CDC or the WHO, YouTube bans you. And so I've gotten 2 strikes. To get one more, they're going to delete my account, and so I can't talk there anymore. But so I'm moving to Instagram and Twitter, but social media has been the number one thing.
What's your favorite city or place that you would love to move to?
Oh man, so this is a big one, because like every time I go to Italy, I'm like, you can sell all my stuff and just send me the money. I'm not going back. And my wife keeps having to go, we're leaving. Come on. So Italy, anywhere pretty much in Italy, Rome, that's the thing. If it was to the U.S., I mean, I love Frisco. I love where I'm at. There's billions of dollars coming flowing right here. I don't know if I'd move if I could.
What's the biggest thing on your mind right now?
Business-wise, I'm just trying to find another pharmacy so we can make sure that we're getting all the meds out we need. We're about 90% done doing a deal so that we have functionality for sublingual technology. I can now put medications on a sublingual form that used to be liver toxic, that is not now. And so building that whole vertical up to put all medications and things on sublingual is a big piece for what we're doing.
Personal section, real quick. How many hours do you work per week?
I work out between 12:45 and 2, and then I'm asleep between 10 and 4. Outside of that, I'm working.
Okay, so 6 hours of sleep, and then
I'm working out for about an hour and a half. So I hang out with my family a lot, but I'm always working. We're always doing stuff. My wife and I are do stuff together for what we're doing here. So that type of stuff, we work together on that.
So what's the situation? Married, single, any kids?
I've got 2 kids. Married. We've been married for since 2010, so 14 years.
Congratulations.
Oh, phenomenal relationship. It's funny because we work with people on that a lot, and so like I'll work with married couples, and so it's funny because we'll bring the women in and we'll get them testosterone. Now they want to have sex again, and I'll talk to the guys and be like, okay, trust me on this one. You need to go get the 5 love languages, and you need to reciprocate. Because you're obviously sex. She's going to be something else. Make sure you feed her, and so that's always a fun one to
do. What's your age?
I'm 43.
Love it. Final question. We want to give some advice to the audience as well. If you could go back in time and have a conversation with your 20-year-old self, what's the best piece of advice that you would give to your younger self?
I don't know if I would, because the failures that I've had, I learned so much from. I don't know if I'd want to jeopardize that. Stay the course is the thing I would tell me.
Failures are important. Stay on course.
Stay the course. Like you're going to trip, you're going to fall. You keep getting back up. So go through it and learn, because a lot of times, like, you'll do something like, don't do this because of these reasons. You'll know 1 or 2 reasons not to do that. If you went through that pain, you'll know 50 reasons not to do it. So I like the idea of nothing's crushed me. We've had a lot of bad stuff, but nothing's collapsed or anything. And I've learned so much from it. It would just be stay the course and get a mentor. That's probably the one thing I would tell myself, is get a mentor who's walked this path at least a little bit and learn from them.
That was Dr. Chalmers. He uses psychology and the study of how the body actually works to heal and improve health. He was always an entrepreneur. His whole family have been entrepreneurs, so he did that from the get-go. And his mission is to make people healthier out there. He is doing that. He has an offer range where for 5K or 10K you can get checked, and then he can like solve PTSD and whatever like you're currently suffering. So check him definitely out. He really launched the business as it currently is 2023, but has done like a different version of that before. Currently has 20 clients, makes 135K a month. So it's a good 7-figure business. And now he will bring this up to decent mid 7 figures and then 8 figures next. The team is small, but like everything is tuned and well oiled in order to serve soon 10,000 customers. And the biggest way to also get new customers is that the customers that have been in treatment actually talk about the impact it has with their network, and so more people come in with that. Customers are just coming in on autopilot. They don't even want to talk, they just want to buy, which is impressive. Thank you much, Dr. Chalmers, for sharing your passion, taking us to the next level.
Absolutely, anytime.